So I'm a movie guy, you know that. So 2 movies I'm thinking about right now as you're talking. One, we'll start with it's a nice one. So during pandemic, there was a movie that came out called The Social Dilemma, and it was really a documentary movie, but in
Oh
and you
yeah.
watch it and I was left at the end, just there's no satisfying it's just you felt disturbed, but in a few words, it really interviewed all the content engineers for Facebook and um, TikTok and many of these social sites and these were the guys that like invented the like button on Facebook. They started off they went through their whole story. So this really started off as a good thing. And none of them were working at those places anymore. And some have joined a nonprofit to try and reverse the effects that's having. But they basically were saying this has now got to a point where we're targeting your children. If you get if your 15-year-old daughter or your 7-year-old daughter or your 23-year-old daughter clicks on something and looks at it, there's a corporation making money from that. And all you gotta do is look at it. And the thing was, what I found most disturbing was, I think about my daughter at the time that I watched it, and she could put her phone down and I'm having a conversation with her. If if 10 minutes went by, it would send her a message where the phone would light up and it was a bot that said, "Hey, check this out." Click and there's an outfit or it's whatever. And I just when I got so angry with that movie, Cleo, that
Yeah.
and the subject is digital fatigue.
Well,
What do
yeah,
you do
this
when the
isn't.
digital devices are stalking you, right? And so, anyway, the second movie, it was just a line from movie. I watched it on the flight back from Las Vegas this weekend, and it's a movie called The Way that starred Martin Sheen. It was written and produced by his son Emilio Estevez. But in a few words, it's the story of the father, um, and they were father son in the movie. But the son dies in an accident, and the father continues his journey, um, walking the Camino, El Camino in
Oh,
Spain, which is 800 kilometers for those. For some people, it's a faith walk. For other people, they want to lose weight. Everybody's got a reason, but it's a thing if you don't familiar with. But in the movie, in a flashback scene, uh, father and son didn't get along. The son said, "You promised that if I let you take me to the airport, you wouldn't judge my life and call me a failure." And father said, "I lied." He said, "Listen, you know, I have a very nice life that I've chosen." The father said, and the son said, "Life is not something you choose, Dad. It's something you live." And my point is, now back to technology. Are we really living our lives, right? Or are we And so it takes work. I'm a Denzel Washington fan who the older he gets, if you follow him or listen, he's always got messaging. He's a man of faith. And he talks about, I challenge you. I've seen him in interviews say, I challenge you for first 5 minutes you wake up. Don't touch a device. Don't think of it. Just let your feet hit the floor out of bed and be thankful. Just think about gratitude and be grateful for life you have for 5 minutes. He goes, watch how hard that is to do. So
yeah.
you look at the clock. I reach over and I touch the phone to make the room light up, and next thing you know, there's messages waiting. So this
It's
is
so
the
hard
challenge.
because it's so hard because it's become such a standard in our society. I
Yes,
mean, if someone has a flip phone today, you know how differently they're looked at, how many things they're removed from, and how the stigma that's around that. I mean, there in America, there's a stigma for having green messages because you're on Android. Um, like that's how you know the level that we've come to in our society today. So I just wonder, do you think it's possible to live a not screen free, but near screen free life or
screen
without
managed,
being
screen
Amish?
controlled. Yes, I
Yeah.
think. Well, first things first, I think we have to talk about that this is I don't think in a broad group, people would it doesn't feel like there's a problem because there's so much advantage to being this well connected. I was trying to kick around what would we call this episode, Khalil, and other than digital fatigue, what we're talking about really is the consequence of living in a world that we've chosen to be better, faster, and what I would call everywhere. It's all news, it's all information all the time on demand, and we just couldn't get any faster. And then AI now is a new component to that. So um, I think if we talk about this and acknowledge, I think it's easy to point to figure out what the symptoms and the negative of it is. Can we become strong enough to just start to put some self filters on there? Um, so I found this site as I was researching this called Halo, HAIILO, and it really is. Um, it just came about in 2022, but it's an online platform that was created to improve for the workplace and the employee experience by combining internal communication, advocacy for employees and their wellness, and social intranet features um, together to try and start to address this. And very clearly, they talked about there's 4 areas that I can agree with that this is impacting our business and our employees. Number one, cognitive overload. Maybe think about the constant app switching, and it requires
Yeah.
employees to quickly be changing. I found out the modern organization has over 300 different cloud applications in its world. Um,
Wow.
and most of us are using dozens of different workspace apps that can disrupt that continuity of work and actually can make the search for information more difficult and inefficient. So I love the idea of figuring out a way to create less I mean, we're a company that's of a size, Khalil. We haven't made the leap yet to an enterprise-wide one software does all. And the friends and owners that I have that do that, um, I'm my cost data is probably 10 years old. But back then it was about $300,000 to convert to a system
To an
that did
ERP.
invoicing, CRM, marketing, you name it all. Um, so we have probably 6 or 7 apps on our primary dashboard of how we do business throughout the day. When you're switching from one to the other, plus managing whatever personal stuff you have, and we've got Life 360 to track the kids when you have a free minute, and I've got a lunch phone app that's gonna order my and deliver my you just think about the way your brain is jumping around, and I think we don't think about negative consequences of that. We just think that's easy, and I guarantee you there is. Is your attention span what it used to be? Is mine?
No, no, no chance.
Is how does that affect your relationship with your spouse or your kids or your
With your
roommate or
children.
your parents or your children? How about the screen we put in front of the kids just to kind of be the babysitter so you could have a few minutes to get laundry and dinner going, right? Or, unintentionally, we're doing these things.